All right, am I live? Am I live? Let me check. Um, I'm looking on my phone. Hold on a second. On my phone. Oh, looks like we're good to go. Okay, so let me open up the chat. Oh, all right. Oh, hey, y'all are here already. Let me speak to all of you. Hey, Mika. Hey, Alita. Golden J. Hey, Lolo. Hey, Betwinch and Nyla Moon. How are all of you? Thank you all so much for being here. I know I pushed this back a few times. Life happens, you know. I hope you all have had a really, really, really good week. Hey, Alita. I hope you all have had a really, 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 really good week. So just a few church announcements, if you will. I'm going to try to go live maybe Friday or Saturday. And then after that, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I may not be able to go live because I'll be running about town or whatever. And then after that, we'll be back on schedule. And so, yes. Okay, so this is a topic that I've kind of wanted to talk about for a while. And the title is Why Becky, Other Black Women in the Media Encourages You to Deny Your Softer Side. So before I start, I want to be clear in saying that there's no cookie cutter image of womanhood or femininity. So I understand that we're all going to be different. We're going to have different personalities and different ways of expressing ourselves, right? So I get that. My only concern is, why is it viewed as an insult for some of us to call another Black woman soft or non-confrontational? Why is it okay to promote the loud, strong archetype while downplaying Black women who don't fit that image, right? Why is it that when a Black woman is a little bit soft in her demeanor, why is that viewed as fake? And the reason I ask that is because a lot of times it feels like the collective of Black people will literally beat the niceness out of you. You know what I'm saying? So when you try to be nice to people and you're a Black woman, even for Black little girls, it's literally beaten out of you. So, for example, I had two situations growing up where I literally had to fight other girls for them to leave me alone. Because when I was nice and sweet and soft, I was picked on all the time, to the point where my parents had to tell me, okay, you have to fight back. If someone hits you, you hit them back, and we'll just deal with the consequences later. And yet, when those little girls who were nice and sweet and soft grow up and become more aggressive, everyone looks around and says, why are Black women, so aggressive? And it's like, well, it's because you literally beat the niceness out of us. And even for some Black women who, like, some of us have friends and associates of other races, right? So when women of other races are kind and soft-spoken, no one views that as fake, But if you were a black woman and you try to be kind and sweet and compassionate, you're called fake by other black people. So it makes me question, does the black collective view femininity as just being for non-black women? Because you even have black men who will say that they prefer women who are more feminine or who are softer. But the reality is that a lot of black men will completely walk all over you if you're too nice or too kind. Okay? Let me look at you guys in the chat. Thanks, Alita. You said you have 7 sisters and you appreciate the girl talk on the channel. Thank you. Lolita says, yep, Blackistan promotes masculine, unprotected women. That's very true. Bet Winch says, oh my gosh, so true. People will punish you for niceness in the black community. Yeah. Literally, the nicer you are, the more you will be walked all over. The more people, and then, or if they don't walk all over you, they will view your kindness as fake. Like, oh, this person is not really this nice in real life. Like if you encounter that on your job and stuff like that, and it's just like, okay. But then, if you go into bitch mode on people, then all of a sudden, oh, she's aggressive. She's a beastie. It's like, okay, you can, as a black woman, you literally cannot be nice to the majority of other black people. And if you want to maintain your kindness and your soft demeanor, you almost have to exclusively deal with people who are not black. Nyla Moon says they view niceness as a weakness when it comes to black women. Yep. You've always been seen as too nice and quiet. Mika said when you level up, you become competition. Hey, I can care less. F your feelings. Hey, Chaz. Hey, Hyperfanatic. Yep. Nyla Moon. And then black males wonder why you've become mean and stopped being nice. That's very true. Golden Jay said, I went through that too. I was a lover and the blacks forced my hand into being a fighter, but I was a sweet, smiling black girl and they tried to tear my smile off my face. Yep, you're still a classy sweetheart. Chaz said, you were nice and quiet too. You lost it somewhat when you started your career. You can't act like that with criminals. Hey, Rido Boy 94. You said a black girl you dated before told you that they were bullied for being nice and acting white, whatever that means. Right. Hey, Tiger Lily. Yeah, because literally, if you do not fit into the stereotype that's typically associated with black women, then people will call you all kinds of names. You'll be an Oreo, black on the outside, white on the inside. You'll be called all types of names like that. And so I want to ask you all, because I know a lot of times people, like, we're very good, right, at holding people accountable for calling a black woman, like, quote unquote, ghetto or ratchet. And we're very good at saying, okay, you should not judge women for being assertive. We're very, very good at saying that, because please understand, nothing that I'm saying suggests that a woman, particularly a black woman, is wrong if she has a personality that happens to be more assertive, okay? All I'm saying is, why do we promote that as being the quote unquote genuine idea of Black womanhood. But then if a Black woman is not that and she's too soft, we pretty much suggest that she's not really Black. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times I feel like amongst the Black collective, there's no room for differences in opinion or having a personality that doesn't fit into a stereotype. So why is it that when we see another Black woman being called an Oreo, or when we see that people are suggesting that she's acting white if she's soft, we don't also come out and say, well, wait a minute, just because she speaks a certain way or because she's non-confrontational and she's not really trying to be aggressive with you doesn't mean that you get to question her character or her race or whatever. Why don't we also protect the image of the softer Black woman in the ways that we do the image of the Black women who may be a bit more assertive and who may be louder? Why don't you see that? Hi, always succeeding. Yeah, you do develop a thick skin, Chaz. Yes, Betwitch. And yet Black people are so weak and soft towards the white supremacy they claim to despise. That's very, very true. That's very true. One thing that I have always noticed is that the Black collective is not as aggressive and rude towards the things that they complain about as they are other Black people. So all this, energy and, oh yeah, pull up and blah, blah, blah. You don't see Black people really saying that to other groups of people. You're right, Chaz. We do need to work on being nice, nasty, less direct, feminine, but assertive. And other groups of women have mastered that very well. Hyperfanatic says, I don't like fighting, and you avoid confrontation, and you're soft-spoken, and you've been called a white girl. Right. That's why I asked. Is femininity and softness just for white women? And that's not necessarily a question for people who aren't Black. That's, when I was writing my notes down for this, it's like, that's a question I'm posing to other Black people, particularly Black women. Is softness just for white women? Because there are, when you're a kid, you experience it from other Black girls, and as an adult, you experience it from other Black women. But is softness and femininity just for non-Black women? And why is it that amongst Black people, people are very good at saying, oh, you shouldn't judge another woman or call her certain names for being loud and a bit assertive, right? So we're very protective of that. We're very protective of Black women who leave their houses in bonnets and pajamas, right? And you're called an elitist or classist if you say, well, maybe that's not how we should be presenting ourselves, right? But if a Black woman presents herself differently, she's softer, maybe she likes being around the house, she likes being a housewife or whatever, she's softer spoken. Why is it that we make fun of that? Nyla Moon, you said your mom told you she was soft-spoken like you before she went into the military. Now she's definitely more assertive. Golden J says, years ago, a Black man told you to toughen up because he said you were too nice. But I bet if I did toughen, he'd call me bad names and then, mm-hmm. Oh no. Oh, you removed your comment, hyperfanatic. Lolo, you said you can go between assertive, confident, aggressive, or warm and charismatic. See, and other black people will call you bougie or uppity. And see, that's the thing. Amongst other groups of women, when they're able to, match their personality to the environment or situation, they are applauded for that, right? Because there are women of other races, when you think of people like Evelyn Lozada, she can go from presenting herself in a way where she's very nice and so on and so forth, to being on Basketball Wives and hopping on a table and running across it to try to fight someone. And no one ever questions her femininity. And when she has those moments when she's softer, no one ever calls her fake, But it just seems like as black women, whatever we do, we're going to be judged. If we're too assertive or quote unquote aggressive, we're going to be called ghetto or ratchet. And if we're too soft or, we're not confrontational unless we're really pushed to be that way, then people call you fake. They say, oh, you're trying to be a white girl, you're an Oreo. It's just like you literally cannot win. And that's why you do see a lot of black women who are not really trying to be confrontational like that, just avoid dealing with other black women and other black people in general, because it's like you don't want to feel like you have to come outside of your character and be someone that you're not, so that you don't get taken advantage of and walked all over. Alita said softer means easier for them to take advantage of you. Yep, you're right. Nyla says the only way to win this game is to not play it at all, it seems. So who benefits when we deny ourselves the right to have a softer side and to not always be the strong one? And I thought of this, as I alluded to with the bonnet situation, I thought of this when you had the principal down in Texas who pretty much decided that she was going to hold the parents to the same dress code as the staff and the students. That's pretty much all she was doing. So she's like, no one who works here or is a student here can come up in here with bonnets and pajama clothes or wife beaters and their pants sagging. So I'm going to hold everyone else to that same dress code. And it was interesting to me that it became this conversation. It became a national conversation. And the part of it that everyone discussed was not the dress code for the men, but it was the dress code that people felt like was taking a dig at black women, the bonnets and the pajama clothes and so on and so forth. And I'm like, well, why is everyone concerned at something that they feel like is being directed at black women when we're only 6 or 7% of the population? And why do you have women in the mainstream promoting this idea of, us wearing the clothes that we sleep in public? Who benefits from that image? And I think what a lot of people don't pay attention to is when you look at all these surveys that talk about the ways that women in the US are viewed, people may say, oh, well, black women are the least desirable. But a lot of times, the second least desirable group are white women. And I don't think that we understand that sometimes you have some of these other women who may encourage us to do things that are not beneficial to us, because as long as there's someone else at the bottom, they're always going to look better. And so when you see, there's this one image of this white woman who's a news anchor interviewing a black woman who was offended by this dress code in, I think it was Houston, Texas. And the black woman was wearing a bonnet and a shirt that looked like something you would sleep in. And this news anchor was dressed in a way that was very casual. And that image was so striking to me. And it was like, I don't think that a lot of black women realize that other groups of women encourage us to present ourselves in ways that are not beneficial to us, because as long as we're at the bottom, they're always going to look better in comparison. When in reality, I think everyone knows that as black women, we tend to look better than most other groups of women, particularly as we get older. We're just naturally better looking, and we don't age as horribly unless we've participated in things that just kind of take us downhill. So, but if you're a black woman who has maintained yourself fairly well health-wise, you're not going to look old and decrepit at like 40, right? So I just wish more of us would think of that. Like, why? Even, you notice how the mainstream media hates black women like Omarosa, Stacey Dash, and Candace Owens. And they don't just disagree with their political views, but those are black women who are hated. Why? Because the mainstream cannot use them to whip other black women into a frenzy where we're triggered and overly emotional about different things. Omarosa, to me, she's a very beautiful woman. She presents herself well. Same thing with Stacey Dash. And Candace Owens is not someone that allows herself to be used to promote things that she doesn't necessarily agree with. So you notice in the mainstream media, the only black women that they like and promote are black women that are loud and aggressive and are saying the things that the mainstream wants them to say. A perfect example, during this time where everyone's supposed to be talking about Me Too and women being together, when Omarosa lost her job at the White House, you had Angela Rye, Simone, I can't think of her last name, and then April Ryan. You had these three black women on national TV laughing about the fact that this other black woman was out of a job. And no one in the mainstream called them out for that. No one pointed out the fact that that was against, the quote unquote girl code. Because if you're a black woman who is not doing what people think you should be doing, and you're not saying the things that people think you should be saying, then you're ostracized. Let me look at the chat. Mika said, if black women continue to act masculine, we'll continue to be treated like men. Yep, we'll get beat, killed, and disrespected. That's true. Beth says, pro-black women swear they hate white supremacy, but insist on bringing justice to Harvey Weinstein, who hurt white women. Right, but want to absolve R. Kelly, who harmed black girls. That's very true. See, and I'm not saying that I don't care when things happen to other groups of women, but what I am saying is that if a person is pro-black, right, wouldn't you think that they would care more about things that specifically affect black people? So why are they more upset about Harvey Weinstein than they are with R. Kelly when, like you said, Harvey Weinstein is a sexual deviant and he needs to be in jail, but the women he hurt were not Black women. Let me go back up. Lolo says, I got called a wannabe Becky on the last live because mammies are mad when you have standards. That goes back to the whole like Oreo type comments, you know, and as an adult, I look back on it and I'm like, well, how do children even know what behaviors to associate with Blackness or whiteness? You know? But you're right, Lolita, that comment is what made me come up with the question, well, is softness or, you know, what's typically associated with femininity just for white women? Nyla says, you don't understand that. You're more mad at R. Kelly. No disrespect to the women affected by Harvey Weinstein, but R. Kelly harmed Black girls. Right. So we definitely care more about his crimes. Exactly. Tiger Lily, they have low expectations of us. So when you don't meet those expectations, it throws them off. That's very true. Hyperfanatic says Black women age well and look younger than our ages unless we take drugs. Very, very true. Very true. Hyperfanatic says also the media hates Stacey Dash, Candace Owens, and Omarosa because many white men find them attractive. That's very true. Very true. They're all beautiful, fit Black women. Alita says, I wish that Black women knew that at the head of the table, yep, and they choose to put us at the bottom. I can care less, says Simone Sanders. That's her last name. Simone Sanders and Angela Rye are not our sisters. Because I'm telling you, I was offended by them laughing on national TV. And when I tell you, it wasn't just regular laughter. It was like deep laughter. Like just, it was so funny to them to think that this woman was out of a job. And it's like, okay, but Omarosa gets thousands and thousands of dollars in speaking engagements. I think she's managed by some company. I can't think of the name of it, but she's managed by some company now. So to pay for people to pay her to speak, I think she gets at least like $20,000 or $30,000. So she can do 5 or 6 speaking engagements and make more than a lot of the people who were laughing at her. But it just made me think of the larger question of, well, where is our basic code? Like, what, you know, why does it get to this place where all the time, as Black women, when we disagree with each other, it gets to this place where people literally will laugh at you for losing a source of income. Now, the reality is Omarosa will be okay. You know, like I said, she has her speaking engagements. She made money off of her books, and her husband makes money as well. He's been, I don't know exactly what he does, but apparently he has money. So she's not going to go broke over it, but it's just I don't know. It was just so ugly to me to see those women laughing at her losing her job. Lolo says, yep, and white women also play the game with white men. They're not victims, at least most of them. That's very true. That's very true. Hyperfanatic says Simone Sanders must be a mammy, so is Angela Rye. I don't know much about Simone. I just know that I did not appreciate her and Angela Rye laughing at another Black woman being out of a job all over a difference in opinion when a lot of the things that Donald Trump did do that would have helped Black people, he did because Omarosa was in his ear, like, listen, you know, this is why HBCUs need money for this, this, and this. You know, I think she got her bachelor's and her master's degrees from HBCUs. And so she was in his ear telling him, well, you know, this is why these schools need money for these reasons. Donald Trump has no idea. He was born with money, so he's not familiar with the things that, like, listen, he's not familiar with the things that middle class people go through, but he had a Black woman around him telling him these things, and it was Black women who laughed at this woman for losing her job and then turned around and said, well, why doesn't Donald Trump have any senior people in the White House who are Black women? And it's like, okay, sis, but you laughed at another Black woman when she lost her job. So why would you think that other Black women would, like, be rushing to try to take that position or any other position just to be ostracized and made fun of by her own supposedly group of people? Hey, Tazzy and Sock. The light-skinned mammies, we have quite a few in the media. That's true, Chaz. Lolo says they will have their day in Blackistan. Yep. Hyperfanatic says, I think they're jealous because Omarosa has a better life than they do. I wondered if it was that, because I'm like, where does a difference in opinion get to the place where you're laughing at another Black woman losing her job? You know? And so with heart disease, obesity, and other stress-related illnesses killing us as Black women at higher rates than other groups of women, why is it so hard for some of us to just breathe, relax, enjoy life? You know, why do so many of us seem to just assume that it's our lot in life to just kind of take on the weight of the world and, you know, fight other people's causes and be overly aggressive and assertive when it's not necessary? Because don't get me wrong, there are some situations where you do have to assert yourself. You know, some situations where you do kind of have to put your foot down, you know, and let people know that they can't just walk all over you. But if you exist in a condition where you have to do that all the time, is not healthy. So why don't you see more adult Black women encouraging younger Black women and then Black girls not to be around people or not to stay in situations where you have to be like that all the time? So those are just some thoughts I wanted to present. This wasn't going to be super long anyway, but I just wanted to put that out there. Like, why is it that if a Black woman is a bit more assertive, maybe we're louder, and people call her names for that, the Black collective is very good at saying, oh, no, don't judge her, so on and so forth. But if you're softer, you're called an Oreo, you know, people assume that you're trying to be white. It's almost like amongst the Black collective, you're only allowed to be a certain way. And if you don't fit that, people will assume that you're not Black enough. You know, the same people who talk about white supremacy and other forms of racial oppression try to act like you're treated differently based on your demeanor. And in some situations, it's not really true. But it's literally like if you're a Black woman, you have to be a certain way, or people question your womanhood. People will say that you're not a real representation of Blackness. You know, sometimes other Black women will feel like they can't relate to you unless you present yourself in a certain way. And it's just like, okay, but at the end of the day, whether you are assertive or not, or more aggressive or not, or whether you're soft or whatever, we all deal with the same issues. In a lot of ways, even though many Black women will not acknowledge this, in a lot of ways, we do have the same plight. The way people view you in this world as a Black woman really doesn't have anything to do with who your intimate partner is, what race they are, how old they are, whatever. And it's just very unfortunate that in this, process of becoming self-first and really thinking more of my needs as an individual, I've realized that, even as an adult, because I am more soft-spoken and I don't like to be confrontational, I've realized that there are going to be a lot of Black women that will feel like me being soft-spoken means that I am less Black than they are. But then they will turn around and say, well, why do people view us as so masculine? And it's like, well, it's because amongst the Black collective, people have heard you say, right? Oh, you're a strong Black woman. When femininity and strength has nothing to do with how loud you are. It has nothing to do with presenting in a way that is aggressive. There are a lot of women who are very strong women, and they're able to show their strength without being loud, right? So that's just a question that I have. And again, I understand there's no cookie cutter approach to being feminine, or there's no cookie cutter approach to womanhood. We all have different personalities, and that's okay. But that's just a conversation I wanted to have. Why is it that other Black women will make fun of you if they view you as being too soft? I've had this conversation with women that I'm associated with who are not Black. Other groups of women are not made fun of if they have a soft demeanor, or if they like to be non-confrontational. Other groups of women are not made fun of if they prefer not to be assertive unless they absolutely have to be that way. So that's why I just wanted to present these questions to you guys. I want to thank all of you who are here live to participate in the conversation. Thank you to all of the moderators for being here and moderating the chat. And for anyone who catches the playback, thank you for watching and for catching, the replay. And if you have anything to add to this conversation, please leave a comment. I'm going to try to go live again Friday or Saturday. And like I said at the beginning, the early part of the next week, I may not be live just because of some stuff we got going on, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll tell you guys about it midweek next week. But I hope you all have a great evening if you're watching me live, or if you catch the playback. I hope you have a great day, whatever time of the day it is. And I will talk to you all very soon. All right? Have a good one.